Welcome back. In the last module, wherein we got started with the requirement from a client, wherein our client has a new requirement now, and he wants us to make few changes in our pipeline. And what we discuss is, as a DevOps engineer, we are going to conglomerate all of our knowledge, what we have gathered so far, and put them into a actual business scenario where we're gonna make our customers life easier. So at the end of the session, at the end of the module, after a couple of sessions videos, your pipeline gonna look like this. Remember, if you go to the PPT and we see, this is how our pipeline gonna look like. We have gonna have a build plan, and we're gonna have basis on the plan. It's gonna have a destroy with an approval and no destroy without any approval. So that's how our pipeline gonna look like. And we are going to start editing our favorite repo, a jumpstart, which you already have a reference to. That's what we're going to do. I've already pasted the link of the repo so that you can just clone it and get the entire Azure DevOps pipeline YAML to get started with. For now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to our pipeline, and we're going to start writing from scratch, keeping in mind what we need to do as a business use case, wherein we need to make sure that our pipeline automatically understand whatever, if there are no destruction, it's going to automatically apply, and if there are any destruction, it is going to use some conditions and use some pipeline logic to stop and make sure you have a manual approval there. So I already have this pipeline ready. I have just written defined few of the variables and pools. So what I've defined is, I'm defined bunch of variables. What directory I'm going to use? I'm going to use the lecture 7 directory, which is this one. And I do have approval environment as well, and I do have an init option, which is pretty simple. And then we have got a refresh option as well, and plan and apply. These are pretty basic Terraform concept. We're not gonna delve into it, but just to reiterate again how to define variables, this is how you define variables. Now we've defined the pool, which has got the VM image, Ubuntu latest, and then which branch you should have your CI set up for. I've got it set up for master. You could just define another branch, like any feature branch as well. And then you've got the path, on which path you want to run your Terraform code. So I've got the stage as plan, Terraform plan, wherein I've got the deployment, I've got the display name, workspace, continue or error, yes or no, environment, and then strategy, all of these options which you're already aware of it. We're not going to discuss about them. So what we're going to do is we're going to start defining the task right from here. I am going to define a couple of tasks, and then we can just use our generic. So it's going to be the bash 3 task because I want to run some bash command. I remember one of the requirement was to install Terraform from the HashiCorp official website, and that's what we're going to do. So it's going to be installation. So display name is going to be install prereqs. And then we are gonna have the inputs, which is gonna be where you wanna run the pipeline. So inputs. So we're gonna not write all of the tasks. We're just gonna define bunch of tasks, and then we could just move on. And then target type going to be inline. So remember in the last when we were creating the YAML, we simply copy pasted from the snippet. And this time we are simply writing it from the scratch. So this is going to be the working directory, which is going to be the by default system with a capital S, system dot default working directory. And then I am gonna just close this one. This is gonna have the normal braces, and then which directory I want to use. I want to use the lecture 7. I could just use the variable also, which we could use in the next step, and then fail on standard error. I just wanted to fail whenever there is an error, and that's fine. Fail on standard error, that's gonna be false. And then the actual script, which is going to be, then comes the actual script. Give it a pipe, and then use the script, use bunch of command to download. This is where we're gonna download the Terraform. So I've already got it listed over here. I'm just gonna copy and just gonna paste it right over here. Wget. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a wget. So if you look at this URL, this is calling from the HashiCorp's website. Terraform and Terraform version we have already defined right over here. Terraform version right over here. And then if we come back over here, Terraform version, and then we are unzipping it and just moving into the bin directory. Alright, that was the task. Now what we're gonna do is we are gonna use another task. So I'm just gonna copy this task and then just paste it over here. Make sure that indentation is proper. This time it's going to be the same task again. Remember, we're going to use Terraform init. So it's going to be init plan and apply inputs. It's going to be the working directory. We don't need a working directory on the same working directory. Obviously we're going to use then fail on standard error, and the script is going to be Terraform init. So it's going to be Terraform init backend config equals to access. That's going to be access key, which is going to be the storage account key. I am going to put the storage account key right over here. So if I just go to my Azure account and go to the access key, I can just pick the storage account, show keys, copy the keys right from here, and then just put the key right over here. Keys are pasted. This is obviously, you know how Terraform works, so that's why you need them. And then you need the Terraform options, which is going to be the init option, which is Terraform init command option. I'm going to pick this variable, and just for refresh, how you define the variable is you just use the $sign and then the round braces and then the variable inside it. Alright, looks fine. And then we're going to do similar for Terraform refresh validation plan as well. So what I'm going to do is I am going to just copy this task right from here and make sure the alignment is correct. And then I'm going to do a validation, which is going to be about just replacing the init with the validate command, and then use the validate option, which is I'm just going to remove the option from here and then just use the validate and then the $sign and then the validate option, picking right from here, putting it over here. That's how you define the variable. The validation is done, and now I'm gonna do it similar for a refresh as well. So I'm just gonna copy this, paste it right over here, and it's going to be a refresh. And then obviously the command is going to change as well, refresh, and then obviously the refresh variable, which is we are going to pick from here and put it right over here. That's done. And then now comes the interesting and the main part, which is the plan. So now we're going to put in the plan right over here, just replace it with the plan, check for any, so when you're writing there ought to be some typo, so don't worry about it. Terraform plan, and plan is going to have the plan option, plan variable, which we are going to pick it right from here and post it right. All right, so our plan is done. Now in the next step, we are going to define the auto approval step. Remember, if you go to the use case, we needed to have these conditions that if there are destruction, there would be a manual approval. So for that, we're going to write a logic, and that's going to be a shell logic. So we're going to write a bash script, a small 7-8 line of script, which wherein we're going to understand if there are changes, it should apply or automatically. If there are destruction, there should be a wait and manual get should be there. This session was majorly about getting started again and writing Terraform YAML, rather Azure Devops YAML right from the scratch to define your CI/CD pipeline. This is going to be useful for any CI/CD tool. So you to use GitLab or GitHub or Circle CI, they're almost same. So if you're able to write Azure DevOps pipeline, you should be able to write any of those pipeline. I'll show in a while wherein we're gonna write our logic for destruction and auto approval.